Philadelphia Eagles and have now won 2 straight games. Russell Wilson didn't cook a big meal, but he didn't throw an interception for the 2nd straight game, finishing with a touchdown pass and over 200 passing yards. Obviously, most of that going to that man with the purple hair, DK Metcalf. Greg Jennings is back with us, but Marcellus, let's talk about it.
Let's do it.
Did you learn anything from the Seahawks in their win against the Eagles?
I learned a lot about the Seahawks. Obviously, we know that Russell Wilson can go out there and lead this team to victory. Albeit sometimes close victory, albeit of late it was a lot of turnovers making those close victories or even losses. But what I learned now is that they have a balanced approach, balanced attack. You can see that the running game, not by the yardage, is most impressive of the last few weeks, but because of Chris Carson coming back from his injury, his foot injury since week 7. Oh, Chris Carson is somebody that you can now balance this attack with and know that you have a premier running back when healthy in terms of his production. What I also learned is this defense, maybe it's here to stay. Maybe this defense can now return some of the roar that has led this franchise for so many years. And all they need is a little bit. They don't need it all because Russ can't cook. But in situations where you found them last night, when they had 5 straight scoring drives, you saw a defense go out there and say, you know what? We're going to play up to our billing just as well. Since the Buffalo Bills game, this is a defense that has not given up more than 23 points. I remind everyone, all you listeners and viewers who watch this show every single day, let's go back 6, 8, 10 weeks ago when this defense was right there with the Dallas defense as the worst defense on pace in NFL history. They fixed those woes. So with a balanced attack, Russell Wilson still having that ability to go out there and strike at any time, and the defense being there, oh, I learned something, that this is a real team come playoff time.
Big dog, I didn't learn much, and then you know me, I like to learn, so I was looking for any note, any nugget. What can I learn, decipher from this guy? I didn't find much, and I didn't find much because you talk about the Seahawks defense, and the Seahawks defense, they played well yesterday, held the Eagles to 17 points. The Browns held the Eagles to 17 points. The Giants held the Eagles to 17 points. So when you talk about the Seahawks holding the Eagles to 17 points, that doesn't jump off the screen to me and say, great job, Eagles. You know, Carson Wentz is having a historically bad year, so you can't both say Carson Wentz is historically bad and then give the Seahawks praise for holding somebody historically bad to being bad. So I give them no credit for that. What I do know is Russell Wilson, good to see him not turn the ball over, but Russell Wilson is most likely a future Hall of Famer, so I'm not surprised when he does that. DK Metcalf, he's been balling, but are you surprised that he did that? Leads the NFL right now in receiving yards. Here is my issue with what I wanted to learn. Now it's DK. Now it's DK after that game. Right. Here's what I wanted to learn, and here's what I didn't. The Seahawks have still yet to dominate an opponent, even a sorry opponent like the Eagles. No matter how much I love the Eagles, they're sorry. And the Seahawks set to dominate them. Greg Sell, let me talk to y'all boys real quick. 9 of the 14 playoff teams have beat opponents by at least 14 points this season. 9 of the 14 playoff teams. The Bucks, they beat Bucks, Packers, Ravens, and Chiefs. They've beat opponents by 14 or more 5 times. Saints, Colts, and Dolphins, they've won by 14 or more 4 times. Rams, Cardinals, 49ers, Steelers. Just go Rams, Cardinals, Steelers. They beat opponents by 14 or more 3 times. But when you talk about the Seahawks, they haven't whooped anybody all season. They beat the Falcons week 1. I'm sorry, Falcons by about 13. But they ain't whooped nobody. So I'm waiting for the Seahawks to dominate an opponent. Winning close games is cool. Russell Wilson's done that the last 2 years. That's great. But we know this. When you get to the playoffs, you have to make sure that you can handle some teams. And the Seahawks beating the Eagles by 6, that just didn't teach me a whole lot.
Yeah, I'm with you, Acho. When you look at the opponents that they even have coming up, you expect them to win these games. I mean, they have the Giants, the Jets. They just played the Eagles. I mean, the NFC East, all you have to do is control the time of possession, don't turn the ball over, and score enough points to win. And you're pretty much going to walk away with the win. And that's what they did last night. And so, yes, can Russell Wilson still cook? Of course. But right now, we don't need you to be what we were trying to have you be early in the season, at the beginning of the season, because our defense is playing well. And Marcellus, to your point, I think you hit it right on the head. Their ability to not just bash you in the running game, but be able to stay consistent to the running game, 30 attempts rushing, it wears on an opponent. It allows you to keep them on their toes defensively. And in this game that we're playing, and you're trying to be a playoff team, you better show your opponents that you can offer something in the running game as well as the passing game. We know who Russell Wilson is, but against these few opponents that they're about to have upcoming, all they need to do is just enough. They don't need to be spectacular. I'm not even impressed. I don't even need you to dominate an opponent. Just make sure you win these games.
Yeah, it's interesting that Russell Wilson and his cooking, everyone saw the passing yardage in the MVP campaign, but he had 3 giveaways in all the wins and 10 in the losses. So the formula, whatever degree he had it in terms of the setting for the cooking, maybe a little too hot for Russell Wilson's doing, because it started to create the turnovers that led to those close wins or even the defeats. But I don't like what Acho said about, well, 9 of 14 teams have beat up people. That means there's 5 teams that haven't beat up people, and that could be Russell Wilson and the Seahawks as one of those 5. That's not really a damning stat right there. What's funny is you walked into this game, it sounded like, thinking that the defense was already solved. Like the defense was ready-made. Like this defense been here all year, when we know that they were giving up an average of 30-plus points in the first 9 weeks, and then since then, 10 points, and you're not impressed? You didn't learn something new since week 10? This is a defense that has now fixed itself, but now you're saying, I already saw that. And in a game where there was a fluke Hail Mary and there was another touchdown drive kept alive because of what? An intentional grounding that the whole entire world saw and reacted to. But those referees and the officials on the field just let the drive continue. So this was a stellar game from a defense that doesn't have many outings where they could say that they've had great play. So, Acho, I don't understand where you're coming from unless you already thought this team was as good as I now think, that you weren't impressed from what you saw.
I did. That's the problem. My bar for the Seahawks was high.
Was higher.
Coming into the season, my bar for the Seahawks, Russell Wilson, he was talking about MVPs. Russell Wilson ain't been to the Super Bowl since 2013. As good as he is, as good as Seahawks fans have let me and you know he is on Twitter, because I check both our timelines, and Seahawks fans being the mentioned.
That's real.
My bar was for the Seahawks to dominate. I ain't seen that. The 1 seed in the NFC, 3 seed, 4 seed, 5 seed, 6 seed, they have all dominated at least 3 times all season long. But the Seahawks, they won. They ain't dominated. If you want to win that Super Bowl, which I think they're capable of doing, I just want to see them dominate. Coming up in our big story, the Eagles, they took another L last night. It was a lowercase L, though.